Hi, Juliana, and welcome to the Digging Trail podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So thanks.
Yes, the last time we talked for the podcast, or let's say for the Digging Trail audience, it was,
Yeah,
I think, more than 2 years ago.
time flies.
Yes, and you were, I think, at that time just starting your role at Flair. So
That's right.
you said time flies. Maybe just personally, how has this last 2 years been? Because I saw there's been a lot of work done, a lot of different things, and we'll talk about that. But
Yeah,
just from a personal perspective.
it's been amazing. I'm very grateful. I work with an amazing group of people. I have now a team of incredible builders. I've learned so much, not only from the airline industry, from the country itself, and changing, emerging technologies. It's been wild. I feel I've been there for more than 5 years for sure, but it's only been actually a little more than 2.5.
You also moved, right?
I moved, yeah, from Mexico. Well, I was traveling quite a lot, even if it was during the COVID period, my transition period before and after airlines. But I moved essentially from Mexico City to Vancouver. Great city. It was never on my plans to move to Canada, especially Vancouver, but like that city has stole my heart. It's beautiful place to live. I don't mind the weather that everyone complains, because when I arrived, everyone told me like, "Are you for real? You're moving from Mexico City to Vancouver?" Having the sea and the mountain at less than 20 minutes is just crazy. I really love it. Walking everywhere, the safety obviously of the country, of the city, and just the vibe of people, like-minded people. I find it very rich for myself personally and professionally. So I'm very grateful. That's how I feel. I say, if I had to put it in one word.
That's the great part about our industry, I would say.
For sure.
You mentioned the word that you used. I have a team of builders.
Yeah.
And one of the things when we were talking pre this podcast about the ideas of the topics that we could discuss, let's say, was, okay, building a team, right? And your journey worked for Volaris, which is a huge organization, then in a startup in between,
Yeah.
then at Flair, building a team.
Yeah.
I had a privilege to work for a short period with your team, and I think at that time was like building this team, was a stage of building this team, like we said when you started.
Yes.
How do you build a team of builders, and what does a builder mean in the first place?
Yeah. What a question. It was great working with you. Now that I think of 2 years ago, it feels like ages. Lots of things. So I have a team of amazing builders, troubleshooters, like people that just solve problems in very creative ways. And for sure, that has been my strength, not only in Flair, like that's the story of my career, finding people, like-minded people that are aligned with the motivations of themselves personally, professionally, that align to the motivations of the airline. So when I look back at my career, like, as you mentioned, working in startups, high-paced startups, and also a corporate, my previous airline experience, which I also started when the foundation was very small. I think, the lessons learned are big, right? When I was working in a startup, I saw, obviously, and after 10 years of airline experience, I saw how important it is, or how critical it is to have the ownership mentality. Like in the startup world, everyone owns the problems of the company, right? If your role, it's not defined by the title of your role, it's defined by what you think it's risking the organization. So everyone is hustling, everyone is solving more problems, everyone is wearing a ton of different hats. It doesn't matter if you're like in finance, in sales, in product, in engineering, everyone wants to solve all the problems. The problem is that not everyone is super aligned on what the problem is and the problem definition is. First, but having that ownership mentality for me, before and after, like in different scopes of my career is critical to embed that in the organization. And I think today at Flair, I have that team that owns the problem of the company and goes above and beyond what their roles are. And I think when you're building foundations of the tech stack, the product, that's super critical. On the flip side, in more structured corporates, what I see is the ability to prioritize is better, right? Usually in big corporations, you have like a super specialized team defining the priorities. And sometimes startups get caught up on trying to solve for everything and build versus buying more. Versus in corporates, you see more like a mix between build and buy. So it's a great question. Like, how do you build a team of builders? Without ownership mentality. Like, if you are able to align that ownership mentality, I think you naturally attract people that enjoy building cool products, that enjoy building, different solutions to complex or regular problems. And, matching the prioritization and how corporations align and are very good on prioritizing versus getting caught up in the typical startup trap where everyone wants to build everything and they just get super spread out and fail to focus on, okay, what is it that we're going to solve? What is it that is going to be our core value proposition? And that's one of the reasons why, I think one of the main 5 reasons why startups fail. So having that balance for me at Flair with, even though the airline has been there for a while, from a product perspective, we have that startup ownership mentality, and naturally, when you hire the right heads, they also naturally attract people that rally around their goals of learning and building things and making mistakes, but improving faster, and that gears eventually in agility. So, it's one of the things that I enjoy the most in my career, and especially now at Flair.
One concept, or let's say phrase that you used, were optimizers versus satisfiers.
Yeah.
What does that mean in your...
That's one of the questions I'm asking in my interviews. I ask them, are you an optimizer or a satisfier? And there's no wrong or right answer, right? I consider myself, for example, an optimizer. I try to do things always towards perfection. And sometimes I find myself reflecting, hey, it's fine to fail. And just, you have to get it done. Progress is the enemy of perfection. So when I see I have these traits in some of my leaders or some of my team members, and they are hiring for their own teams, I try to look for the balance between both, right? You want to have the right mix of an optimizer and a satisfier, whether the satisfier is the leader and the optimizer is the analyst or the specialist. So I think as a leader, knowing when to throw an optimizer for a specific task versus a satisfier for, just rolling the ball and getting things done and not losing time. Because we live in an industry where time is money, right? So you can be too much of this and too much of that. So that's one of the questions I ask now in my interviews. And I try to think of the broader scope of how would that fit within the team and within the org.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's my experience also back from when I work in airlines. So I was always, probably that's an optimizer. I would always look strategically, like three things ahead, prioritization, try to do. But then when it would come to execution of a product, didn't have maybe the stamina or the detail-oriented to be. But sometimes in some things you need to care all, check the boxes, all the test cases, all the scenarios. So that I would always have my project manager was a guy who was super detail-oriented.
Yeah.
So I think that was the best we really work
So
well.
do you consider yourself an optimizer?
I don't know, maybe.
It changes, right?
Yes, it also changes.
Yeah.
One thing that we talked in our last chat,
Mm-hmm.
and also I like that concept because I think also from my experience it worked well, was having that ability of not a huge corporate organization. So we had a lot of things under your umbrella in terms of e-commerce, ancillary, digital
Yeah.
product. And you said
Yeah.
at that point that that was your, let's say, could be that agility that stems from that could be your competitive advantage. Do you still see it like that now that I think the whole organization grew a little bit, or do you still see that as that agility that comes from it as an advantage?
Yeah, even higher, I would say. I do feel that the way you organize the corporate governance and the role definition of the organization itself is like the superpower or the point of failure of from a product and digital perspective, obviously. So, the fact that I own as digital head the team of engineers, but of product managers as well, and responsibilities of cybersecurity and digital marketing. Like the product focus on Flair is very strong, and even though we are young in our foundation digitally as an airline, we do see, the e-commerce, the channels, the new emerging technologies as part of our potential competitive advantage, right? Because the flexibility and the level of collaboration that we have between, especially I would say between the commercial team. I've always been commercial and I've always been very revenue driven. But now that I own product engineering, data, and cyber, being able to match the team structure with the core KPIs of the organization, the RASM, the revenue per available seat mile, the CASM, the optimization, the on-time performance, and, own the systems, own the middle layers, own the distribution, and own a strong group of project and product managers that actually understand and suffer from the pains of the customer it's critical. So I think that's one of the superpowers of Flair, how our organization is built in such a lean way makes us super strong in terms of flexibility and time to market.
And perhaps with the thing that you mentioned initially, prioritization, because you see the
Correct.
big picture, like you said, you see these big KPIs, so it cannot happen, like you said, that you have like different product building a lot of things that may not be there.
Yeah, and don't get caught in the trap of let's solve for everything. But I have to say, like, we are building a lot of stuff internally, and that's the stage of companies that I love, because we do operate like product-wise like a startup. We're building a lot of stuff, but it's just very aligned to what we feel it's the differentiation for the company and the bottom line, month over month.
Now that we got to the building part, the builders, and you said we are building a lot of things. One thing that I saw or I see from the outside is how you combine the things that you build, or let's also on the digital side, on the product side, on the ancillary product side, or some other products, and how you embedded this or branded this together, like in this Flair Forward initiative, which is, if I understand correctly, an initiative to reposition Flair, or to, let's say, to explain to the customers what Flair brand is. And this is something that I find interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about the initiative?
You did your homework. I'm very happy you're throwing Flair Forward.
You see all these notes, a lot of notes.
Flair Forward is our commitment to deliver on our promise. Flair Forward is, yes, our rebranding strategy to make travel affordable in Canada, so that Flair becomes the easiest airline to fly, emotionally, financially also, and physically. So, we want to be a love brand. We want for our customers to have physically in the airport while they book a seamless experience. And financially, obviously, to have the best value for their money. So that's our North Star. And we're doing that campaign not only for our customers, also internally. It's part of our culture. It's now like our internal hashtag. It's part of our signatures and also to our partners. So the airline industry is tough and you need to adapt, you need to listen, and you need to move fast. And Flair Forward is our commitment to our customers, to our employees, and also to our partners to deliver on that promise to make travel affordable for everyone.
And how do some of the things, let's say, that fall under your umbrella? It's either product, ancillary product, digital product, or let's say just general experience. What are some examples of how they fit into the Flair Forward?
Good question. So owning the systems, the hardware, the software, the product, the physical part has a lot to do with my division. When you think about the user journey, online, offline, well, they start, dreaming of a flight, booking a flight, and actually checking in and board into the flight. All the moments that the customer touches the brand digitally or in person within the airports, through a kiosk, through the website, through a digital channel, through an ad, or through a redirection of some other vendor. That's the product that I need to make better and better each time. So finding the best way for customers to book, showing them our policies, and having the right content at the right time in the right place. That falls like in the Flair Forward. Is making Flair the easiest airline to fly physically.
Also payment methods, I saw you.
Payment methods, like obviously everything involving, and that's like my core thing, everything involving the booking flow, right? As a low-cost carrier, we know that our lowest distribution cost is on our website. So we're putting all the eggs in the basket of our website, of our channels, of our digital footprint in the online world. So having the right form of payment, having, the right visualization, the right adaptability on different screens and the site, but also our emailing strategy, how do we communicate with different personas, how do we communicate during kiosks and also on board within the flight. So that's more on the physical part, but also on the emotional part. All the work we do alongside with the brand team on how do we rally the message of, we are an airline that is committed to deliver on the promise. Like, we will get you there on time, and we will get you there at the lowest possible cost. We are going to be there whenever you need it. Like, if you are in the airport and you want to make a purchase and avoid the line, you will have a channel or a way to pay online.
This last part that you said, and we talked about this our recording, is like commitment or effort to communicate that you are a reliable brand, trusted brand.
Correct.
And here I see, maybe I'm wrong, but again, from my homework, some of the products, or could be ancillary, could be digital products, I see this nice fit of how you can use them to communicate this. Like, you have this on-time guarantee, I think travel flags, baggage guarantee, which I think in some case could be even like we said, ancillary products, but I think go align with this communication that we guarantee that we will remove the friction that typically people have. What if I miss my flight? What if I want to change my dates? What if, I don't know, my baggage gets lost? So we have a lot of different products or digital features that address these friction points. And this is something that I really stood out to me when I was digging in. Into
I mean, you're a savvy traveler, so I guess you see. But we are making a lot of efforts to listen. We're humble, and we have listened to our customers in the last year. And perception is reality. And we went out. We've done a lot of focus groups, and we find out that reasons of some customers not trying Flair is because they didn't trust the brand. They didn't trust we were going to get them there on time. They didn't trust our flight was going to be scheduled. So when we sat together as a team of leaders, we said we need to put our money where our mouth is and show that we are a very efficient operational airline. So we launched this on-time guarantee product, which is if our flight arrives more than 60 minutes late, we will give every customer $60 for free as a voucher so that they can fly with us in the future. If we cancel our flight or if we get you there more than 60 minutes late, an hour late, you'll get $60 to travel with us again as, as a commitment to our customers. And it has been received well for our customers. We see more and more recurrent customers as the quarters go by. And also we have, all this branding campaign on the reliability, our completion factor, on time performance relative to the competitors. We're an airline to stay, and changing the mindset of a customer, it's tricky because sometimes whatever they hear or whatever they read in a forum sticks. And it's very different from reality. And that's why we are trying, that's the reason of Flair Forward, changing that perception in the recurrent customers, but most importantly on the potential new first flyers.
You said that you listen to your customers. One thing that I saw also part of this, I think it's part of this initiative, is like this customer feedback forum, right?
Yes.
Is this a broader forum, let's say a general topic, or is it something that, let's say, your digital team gets ideas for new products or for optimization or for improvements from as well?
We did both. So we try to do this recurrent, and this is just us listening to our customers and checking in to see if our roadmap, not only from a digital perspective, but from what are we building in the organization for flight operations, for airport operations, for the e-commerce channels as well, for revenue management, for pricing, for network, for maintenance. From an investment perspective, we use those forums to check in if we're doing what the customer really wants or what they think they want. And obviously capture ideas here and there of what else would they want, how do they shop, how do they book, how do they compare prices. And the feedback forums were part also of this Flair Forward strategy, right? To name the specific pain points of our customers and address them either through a branding campaign or through a product campaign or through, why not, like an alignment internally campaign. So we love to hear from our customers. We are very committed to them. We read all the forums all the time. Those are the best feedback forums. But we actually, flew people to different cities that we operate. We had 4 different feedback forums, and not only myself, like the CEO personally sat down with them, listening to their customer complaints. And it requires some skin because, like, you put all your hours in the day, to build products, to build value. And then you hear the customer perception, and it's always tricky. And even like we fly all the time, we line up all the time, we sit in the aircraft next to our customers. But opening up a feedback forum has been super critical for the Flair Forward strategy, and that's why we keep on improving and honing and making it even louder.
Was there any specific feedback that really surprised you, or?
Yeah, the ancillary feedback, it's always interesting, right? The way we merchandise especially in channels that are not our website, it's always tricky. So obviously customers don't understand how hard it is for a small airline like Flair to influence a big OTA, right? Mm-hmm. So, getting into the patterns of how they book, it's always interesting. And I ask them, like, why didn't you book in flyflair.com? Like, we have the best price, we have all the products, we have unique products there. You have all the offering of the seats. We have specific types of bags only in our website. We have all these payment methods, like all these efforts put in our site. And they're just like, no, I didn't. Like, I didn't.
But I see some of these products that you built, if I'm not mistaken, like on-time guarantee, trail flags, baggage guarantee, they are only available if you book direct.
They're only available. So the on-time guarantee that I explained to you before, it's only available for customers booking in flyflair.com. So we know that a customer is more propense to have a complaint if they book in another channel, right? And this is something the airline cannot control. Like, you have farms of crawlers in Asia hunting foreign prices, and sometimes, like, selling our tickets. We've seen many cases of fraud and people selling our tickets, paying the airline with fake cards. Mm-hmm. And then the customer arrives thinking that they book in Flair. They didn't. They book in a weird third-party site. And, as much as we try to find them in the system, etc., like, they're not there. So all of the efforts we do are very well thought and built to drive to direct and drive to web. So yes, on-time guarantee is only available for customers who booked on flyflair.com. Our checked bag guarantee, the same. We have a guarantee so that if we mishandle your bag and we do not respond in time, we will pay you $1,000. And like, on top of the compensation that the country requires. Travel flex as well. It gives more flexibility and peace of mind. We have disruption guarantee also through one of our partners, where if your travel plans, if your flight, is either canceled or affected 2 hours before departure, not only we pay you back, or we rebook you in another flight from another airline from the competition. So all these product offering a la carte also only goes in our website. So when I sit with friends, for example, in Vancouver, it's the first time they fly with Flair, and I explain them this, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. So, building this concept of making a brand that customers can trust also ties to the propensity of people going to flyflair.com and just try and give us a chance to book there.
I think it's a smart strategy. I mean, sound strategy, and it's the thing that you can control, like you said. Did you see it affect in increase of direct bookings?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And bookings, perception, also like a growth hacking strategy, right? We wanted people to talk about us. Mm-hmm. Even if they want to complain, it's good for us to be out there and have an online footprint as a brand. It requires a lot of money to build a brand, and we're trying to find cost-effective ways to be out there and be noticeable, be discoverable on the AI tools, and having these forums, thank you, but also having this quite unique products in the industry are also part of that strategy. So for sure, we saw more traffic. And when you're in the booking flow in FlyFlair, you see, like, congrats, this booking is eligible for on-time guarantee. Truth is that sometimes we have 100% completion factor, so no one receives the voucher. because our performance is excellent.
One thing that you mentioned to me is, okay, you added a lot of these products, a lot of these solutions that you are talking. And initially, when you were talking about difference between such startup and, let's say, more corporate environment, is okay, startup mentality is to build everything by themselves. And in other cases, there is the decision whether to buy or use a partner, or to build. And I see some of these products are partner-based products. And I think when you think about partners, what I understood from our prior interactions is that you try to find partners that have more this still startup ownership, not being just a partner, but being part of the team mentality.
Absolutely.
How do you do that? How do you find partners, or how do you...
I've made many mistakes. And
so learn by experience.
Learning by experience. But I take partnerships very seriously. Like when we do RFPs, I really look for that. I have N business cases of, okay, let's do this one, for example. Let's do this new. We knew people wanted more flexibility. We knew people wanted options, and we knew people also in Canada, where the weather is so extreme, disruptions are a la carte, right? So we were thinking of building this disruption product. So the business case was, do we build or do we buy? And as a low-cost carrier, having the lowest unit cost, as you know very well, I know, is the core thing for everyone, right? So all the business cases have to prove that you're maximizing the value for the airline. You're maximizing the value for your customers at the lowest possible cost, so that you can throw the lowest price available for our customers and rally into that virtuous circle. So when we do, okay, let's build versus let's buy with a partner, we saw very interesting proposals from different partners where, from a cost perspective, it made sense, not only from time to market, but from a risk perspective. And we say, hey, why don't we learn? Like, at the end of the day, it's a learning experience that you will have with partner A, B, or C. Who do you want to learn with? Because it's gonna get bumpy. You're gonna have outages. You're gonna have lack of syncing information. You're gonna have a customer complaining online. You're gonna have someone famous not being. Anything can happen, right? So who do you want to go that battle and that roller coaster with? And for me, when I select partners, once the business case is proven, I really look into like building, like if I was hiring a team, and a lot of successful products I've launched have been with partners that actually, sweat and they want to learn with you, and they have that mentality of testing, iterating, and learning. And from a risk management perspective, for me, it's, sometimes it becomes a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't I do this with them? They're investing in me. They are, making every single possible effort. But at the end of the day, you invest your time, the time of your team and your people doing that. So learning how to align your team motivations with the team, the partnership team, is super important. And making sure that they work well together. Sometimes the partner and the internal product team, they just don't talk the same language, and not specifically speaking like English or whatever, but they don't think the same way. They don't react as fast. So, making integrations with communications and how they solve problems is critical. And I'm very happy with the partnerships we have today at Flair. I think they have been instrumental on keeping our agility and our fast-paced cadence. We have super fast cycles of releases in our channels and our systems, and not every partner can handle that.
Do you also see partners, like when you hire people, as between optimizers and satisfiers? Or?
That's a great question. Yes. Yes. And this, again, the same balance, especially between like the leadership of that partnership, because also partners, let's be realistic, they change people all the time, just like airlines as well, right? But when you know that who's actually investing in your airline as, their value proposition, you want to have the right mix of optimizers and satisfiers.
Great. One question that I will ask you, because you said of this holistic approach of the areas that fall under your responsibility. And it's just a personal thought that I thought, because personally I worked on different areas, like from UX, conversion optimization, upselling, lately a lot about customer acquisition optimization. And I had this thought, and I want to maybe hear your view. Which part do you think it's more difficult in airline world to optimize? Is it to find the right customer, so to be, like you said, get in front of the customer, because we know that the traditional means of advertising are very, let's say, the margin is low, and you're limited what you can do with marketing budgets. Then is the conversion and the upsell part, and then is the retention part. I used to think when I worked, let's say, conversion optimization, that's the difficult part, to convert to upsell. But now I changed my mind a little bit, and I want to say...
What do you think now?
I think the acquisition part is super difficult because, like I said, I think everybody, you mentioned OTAs, other airlines, if you do this traditional mean, you get caught in this loop of either you pay the big guys like Google, Facebook, and you don't control. It's basically you're sucked in this cycle of bidding against sometimes yourself or the competitors to acquire customers. So that thing, I think, find different ways to get in front of your audience. Their bidding, it's super difficult, but also super tricky. And retention, like we take in our industry, because of low differentiation and low frequency, is also the tricky part. So I think each part is challenging.
Yeah, it evolves fast. Listen, from my experience, which is very geared towards low cost, I have seen it again and again. If you throw the lowest cost for the flight, the lowest price for a flight, naturally you will get visits. If you are available on Google with the lowest price, people will know there's an option to fly from X to Y at X fare. And if you're the lowest, naturally you will crawl up, right? You will be the first result. I think the complexity comes with the acquisition whenever you're opening a new market. Whenever you are operating in a city where people don't know your brand.
Exactly.
And yes, the acquisition would be the hardest part there. And the acquisition to direct, right, to your own channel. Because you're talking about a case where someone has never seen your airline before. And they've never flown you before. They have no clue, so they naturally go to any other means of communications. They ask their friends. No one has flown there before. How do you build that trust? Through a SEO, SEM strategy. I find that's a hard part. So how do you growth hack that awareness of your brand in a market that no one has operated? Price is like the given. And for us, we're there because we have the lowest prices. But for example, now that we just opened a route from Vancouver and Toronto to Mexico, which makes me very proud. And,
I saw that.
And we see a lot of demand, but different partners of demand going down versus going up. So thinking about creative ways to make alliances, partnerships, network from the other side, it's also important. Once you get the lowest fare, I think you are halfway in. Then how do you build that trust or that click away for people to, whenever they land to your site, they feel it's legit, right? It's trusted.
And this is where the things that you built before coming into play.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe we finish with another, let me pick your brain moment, because we talk a lot about, you talked about agility, startup mentality, working in a corporate world, and you work team of builders. But we also see that how the landscape in all areas that we work, be it digital, be it UX, be it data, be it, I don't know, marketing, everything is impacted by AI, right? So in big picture, maybe we don't even see how, or we see, or some see, but also on a personal level, what skills are being not replaced by optimized, or how some people that use AI for certain parts of their job can be more effective. So my question is, what would you say? Because I think a lot of people that listen to this podcast are people that are trying to enter the industry, or people that are in the industry but want to be better or look into future to become, I don't know, to advance, to be a leader. How do you see what are the key skills now in this a little bit changed world for, I don't know, for marketer or people working in digital?
The key skills?
Yeah. Or the key areas that you would look, let's say, in a person?
Yeah. Very good question. I mean, it depends on what the short and medium and long-term plans for the individual are, but nothing beats the willingness to learn. Nothing. It doesn't matter when if you're starting, if you are halfway in, or if you're changing gears. If you're open to learn, to me that kills everything. Obviously, depending on, either you're hiring for a data engineer, a data analyst, a product manager, there's a ramp-up period, right? But every airline is, I love to call, like from a systems perspective, I love to call them Frankensteins. Yes, you might have some experience when you're interviewing, for example, in specific systems, in specific tools. But every airline has their own setup, their own set of monolithic legacy builds. Data, it's becoming more and more complex. Data engineering, data availability is the core foundation for AI. And so if you don't have that appetite to be curious and learn, it just gets very complex, and not everyone can thrive. And eventually, people working in airline is our own investment on learning into different worlds. I thought I knew a lot about systems with my experience in airline, in hospitality, in the OTA world and the distribution industry, and yet I'm here with Flair with another Frankenstein, that it's now my Frankenstein, right? And it's hard to dissect and understand data, for example. So to me, nothing beats the willingness to learn still. So if you really want to build a career on data science, data engineering, development, product manager, operations, we see a lot of cases internally at Flair, and I'm very proud of that, where someone starts as a revenue manager, for example, and then they move to the ancillary team, and then they move to the airport side, and that the skill set you gain in 18 months with going through that eventually gives our people the ability to define who they want to be in their careers very early, but they will never get there if they wouldn't have that thirst to learn, or even sometimes even much more aggressive moves from a commercial team to a finance team. So to me, I always look for that, and especially with AI, I think people dream of use cases and everything, but if you don't understand where the data is coming from and how to build that brain, I think, the reality lives here and the vision lives here, so no one has been able to bridge and connect. So naturally, every conference now of anything ends up being a conference of AI for airlines, AI for software, AI for development. So now more than ever,
I
the
know.
willingness to learn.
I agree 100%. It's been a theme that I've been promoting also with this podcast, so that's why it is. It's about learning. So maybe just to sum it up, how do you learn yourself? Or what is your preferred way to learn? Or do you even have time to structurally learn? Because we learn every day with different, you say, we learn from our customers. Or is there any special way?
It's going to sound very romantic, but I learn from my team. Obviously, I try to read. Like now that I oversee more areas, I've been learning a lot through my partners, through conferences themselves. But like I'm lucky enough to work with brilliant people that are also learning as they go. And, you know, those heated discussions and those, you know, also internal competition of views of how to build A versus B, and how to understand and dissect the problem. I learn from that. And then when I, you know, put that learning in a broader framework of either a book I read or a class I took in the past, it just makes it much more rich. And that's why I hire very slow. I really think about the people because I spend a lot of time with them. I travel with them. I fight with them. I discuss with them and argue with them. I almost cry with them. And they are my biggest treasure, I think. So yes, I learn through them, with the airline obviously, and the evolving industry and the needs of the market.
Thank you. It's a beautiful thought, and I think if people that listen to this will have a small learning moment, which I'm sure everybody will, I think we did our cause and contributed back to the industry. Like we said initially, beautiful industry that makes us experience a lot of great things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you, guys.